about religion, dude.
Shit. Is that what we're going to talk about on this episode 2, part 2? Is that what you want to dive into? Because you were mentioning earlier that we were both altar boys.
We're diving into religion. We got a history, man. You and I were brought up in it. Like we didn't have no choice in that. And you and I were both altar boys for a while, and that was, I mean, how did that make you feel? Being a part of it all when you were up there and doing everything. Did it make it seem more special to you? Or did it make you seem kind of like, oh wow, they just ring bells?
No, I thought it was cool because I got to, not be in class because, I just thought class was not really a waste of time. I just, I'm a person who likes to walk around, and I think schools in general don't appeal to kids like me. Like when I was younger, I was just like, I like to walk around a classroom. I hate sitting down in one place. Like, it's just...
Yeah, it was good to get out of class, and being an altar boy was definitely an experience. I do recall one time when I was there getting ready for mass with the priest, and then some woman came in screaming to the back of the church, and then they took her into the back of the closet where they kept all of the outfits for the priest and the altar boys, and they basically did like an exorcism on her. But they didn't let me go in there because I was a child, and they were just screaming and stuff a lot. And then the same woman came back to the church.
They actually did an exorcism on her?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that very vividly. That, like, dude,
I thought they would just, like, push her out.
I was there with one of the older kids, dude, like someone from the grade above us.
Yeah.
Like, they took her in, and I just heard a bunch of yelling and screaming, and then she came out crying and was, like, hugging the priest. And then I believe that same woman, or a similar crazy woman, just one day in mass stood up out of nowhere and started screaming and yelling everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was I don't know. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, like, I think at that age I had a belief in God and I loved religion and everything like that, but I never really thought I'd see some shit like that. It was almost like it was stories, and hearing about people casting out demons and shit like that was like, well, that's what they did, like, back in the day. There are no demons now. Like, we just believe in God and we go to church. And then I saw that shit, and I was just kind of like, some people are into this a lot more than I am.
Shit. Dude, honestly, man, it took a retreat, a 4-day retreat, to take me to actually kind of like put me back into that world, because I kind of turned my back on Catholicism and many other religions that I studied and all this other stuff, and followed, not necessarily just studied, but kind of like followed since I was like born into it, or was kind of like just kind of tagged along with the family. It's kind of like, this is good, we have a moral structure, yada yada yada. And like, I can agree with some elements, but to the point to where it's so fanatical, and it, like, let me tell you about this retreat.
Tell me.
I'm gonna go. This is story time, bro.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers knew what they were doing. Like, I liked all the people who were there, but the way the techniques were there were kind of like scary in a way, because they sleep deprived us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just reacted off the song.
That's cult shit, dude.
Dude, I was so mind blown by that. And I'm like,
I've had a very similar experience. So you got to finish yours, but I had a very similar experience at a confirmation camp I went to.
But it was like people who were recovering, like, from issues that they had, whether it was drugs or certain other tribulations they had went through. And, I get that, but man, sleeping in a church, a makeshift church out in the desert in Arizona, was such a mind-blowing experience. And even on the last night I was there, I had a panic attack because I felt someone step on my bed, and because we're all on the floor, and it was these little cots that they gave us. I felt someone step on my bed, and I turn over and I freak out. And then the only thing that's lit in the church is this big portrait of Jesus. What's next to it is like a figure of Mary, but I forgot it was there. So all I see is a shadowy figure. I'm like, oh.
Damn, bro.
I was tripping. And I was sleeping next to James Michael, and like, this dude was ice cold. I'm pretty sure it was because it was nighttime, but I grabbed this dude's arm hella hard, and this dude did not move. I was shaking him. He was like, it was almost to like he was dead. And I'm like, I'm either hallucinating or I'm dreaming. And I was like, I just got to turn over. Just go to sleep. Go to sleep. And I just go, like, I'm just like hyperventilating. And then 20 minutes later, I'm like, this dude wakes up. He's like, because he rolls over and he's like, what? I was like, dude, what kind of delayed ass response was that? I'm like, because I remember just waking up again. He's like, hey, bro, can you want to go to the fucking porta potties? And we just because we're out in the desert, man. I'm just kind of like, let's do a buddy system here. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. So yeah,
coyotes and shit, man.
there's coyotes and shit. And then it was just like, and there was the way the showers were, it was no hot water. And it was 4 showers within like a little mobile home type shit. Like only like, I don't even know how much square feet, but just imagine the size of like a normal bedroom being filled with 4 showers. And it's like built for people who are like 5'4". So you kind of got to like duck into the hole.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But they did keep us fed. I mean, shit, I just was always in a food coma. But when you're in a food coma and you're like holding in shits from the days before.
I want to bring up my experience.
Oh man, did you go through the same thing? Because mine was with with one of the downtown churches.
I don't think
St. Bridget.
I don't think it was the same kind of group, but basically I took confirmation classes, and one of the last things in the confirmations classes to do was this retreat where you went with a bunch of other kids to this camp kind of place, and there was like a bunch of like outdoor activities to do and stuff like that. Yeah. And then they had a bunch of activities that we were supposed to do and everything like that. But once again, from when I first arrived, how you were talking about sleep deprived and things like that, looking back on it with things I know now and have learned now about cults and manipulation, a lot of that was going on. For example, though there were a shit ton of chairs there, they didn't let anyone sit in a chair. You could not sit in a chair unless you were one of the counselors. So there were a bunch of kids, and we were all teenagers. I mean, we weren't little kids, and everybody had to sit on the floor. That was very uncomfortable. And then they gave us talks and seminars that went on for hours until like 11:30 at night, and we were tired as shit. And then they finally said we could go to sleep, only to get us up at 6 a.m., force us to shower really fast, then tell us to eat when we're not hungry, then make us work out a shit ton, and then make us sit on the floor again and stay up watching stupid bullshit. And it was very much a sleep-deprived thing where it's like, yes, they got all this energy out of you, and we were very uncomfortable the whole time. I remember they were very particular about us going to the bathroom at a designated time, too, and very particular about eating and drinking at a certain time. Like, if you wanted a snack or something to drink, if it wasn't the drinking fountain, there was, like, nothing. And then it was this huge push to do, like, physical activities. And the other weird thing about that is all the physical activities were meant to be kind of scary. Like, it involved heights or it involved doing something like that. And they were always just like, no, like, the power of Jesus gets you through this. And a lot of kids were, like, genuinely really scared. Like, I wasn't about a lot of the things we did, but some kids were, like, really freaked out. And, like, you could tell that, like, they were, like, almost being pushed through it, but then they cried at the end of it, and because they were okay, they were like, yeah, praise God, it's great. But the most fucked up thing, this is the thing that really, really got me looking back on everything, is like I said, they had us staying up really late every night. They had one night, kept us up super, super late. It was almost midnight or 1 a.m. And they have all these kids who are, like, our youth counselors tell us stories.
Oh, my God. Holy shit.
And this is what happened. This is what happened. So they start telling us stories about, like, one of their stories was about how she was a drug addict and did all this crazy drugs and fucked up her life with that. And in the end, she almost had this moment where she was about to kill herself, but then she had this turnaround moment, and then she decided to give her life to Christ. Another person had a story where she was a victim of Columbine and almost didn't get shot and got shot from that, and then her house was robbed, and they were gonna kill her, and they put a gun in her face, but at the last moment, they decided not to kill her. And looking back on it, this was like a little white girl, like, who was 18, telling me about how she was addicted to heroin and did all this crazy shit. And this was another girl, like, in her 20s saying that she lived through this. And it was just lies. Like, they were just telling you these fucked up stories to make you feel better about your life and basically be just like, yeah, look at the stuff we overcome. But, like, looking back on it, those were lies. They were not real stories. And then once they got done with the sad stories about how this woman's life was saved because she prayed when someone had a gun in his face, and this other woman didn't kill herself because she heard the Lord talking to her, they give you letters that they asked your parents to write before sending you. And then everybody in the room started crying because you were home, you were hungry, you were tired, you were fucking uncomfortable from sitting on a floor for 8 hours, and everybody cried and everybody felt bad. And then all the counselors came around and hugged people and gave them tissues and made them feel better.
Dude, this is like straight exactly what happened on that retreat.
It was so like, and looking back on it, it was so manipulative. And even when I was done with the confirmation, and bear in mind, I wanted to leave that program because there was already weird things about having to sit on the floor, about having to kneel on a hard-ass concrete for a really long time, where it was just kind of like, there were weird things where I was just like, this is a bit fucked up. Like, I don't think they're seeing us as people. I think they're seeing us as something to change. But I was about to be done with it, right?
Yeah.
And then they were just like, well, you know, you're done with the confirmation, but we have this awesome club that you should totally join called Yacht Club. And I literally was like, no, I really don't want to join Yacht Club. Like, I didn't even want to finish this confirmation thing. I'm just glad to be done, right? And then 3 girls that same night all come up to me and say, hey, you should really join Yacht Club. You know that's awesome? Hey, you should really join Yacht Club. You know that's really good. Yeah, you should join the Yacht Club. And looking back on it now, I almost did. And I literally tried to talk to those girls who didn't respond to me or anything like that. But they were directed.
They used the power of pussy on you, bro?
They were directed to talk to me because they wanted me to join their thing. And I just noticed all these cult things. But of course, the Yacht Club, if you think about it, like my parents would have been paying $200 a month for me to go and shit like that. And I feel like a lot of it.
It's a yacht, like it's an actual.
It stood for Young Adult Catholic blah blah blah, something like that. It was an acronym. But it was called Yacht Club, I believe. Yeah.
That's funny.
But there were some culty things in that, and it all seemed very manipulative. You know, there was another thing that we had to do where you were supposed to live like a homeless person, and they made you sleep outside and be uncomfortable and everything like that, and your parents were gone, and then you talk to an actual homeless person that scared the fuck out of yourself, and then they're like, yeah, now go be thankful that you have a home and a family and everything like that, and then everyone cries. It all seemed very manipulative, dude.
Jeez. Oh, man.
And I mean, you could argue that it's manipulating people for the right reason, but still, if you're using those kind of tactics, is it really right? You know?
Yeah, you could truly argue that. I mean, oh man. I mean, who do you blame for it? I mean, do you blame the people who are, I guess, pretty much following the curriculum, or do you blame the person who wrote the curriculum on it?
Or do I blame the parents that send their kids there? I think it's a good idea, or do I blame the priest in church that recommends them to go to that program? At the end of the day, I think parents wanted their kids to behave better, and the church wanted a bit of fucking money.
Oh yeah, the retreat I went on, dude, it was $130 a person.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm fucking saying.
And I mean, they already had the church was very makeshift. Kind of was like, it looked like a big ass shed / like almost like a plain garage, where it's like it looks like it could fit like a small little 1-seater plane, like one of those like plane garages, and it had wide doors too, like a hangar or a barn.
Yeah.
So we were so legit. We were sleeping in a barn. Let's call it a barn.
And it's probably cold as fuck.
Yeah.
And uncomfortable as shit.
Like, yeah, you could bring your own blankets and all that and all this other stuff, but
and you had to stay up really late.
You stayed up really late watching the little lectures and half of these stories that either are fictional or have some partial truths to them, because these people, I guess, some people actually did, I guess, have real stories, but I feel like they exaggerated them.
Hell yeah. No, maybe that 18-year-old girl smoked pot, but there's ain't no way in fucking hell she did heroin.
Yeah, I mean...
That's what I'm saying.
At that age, shit. I mean, heroin is a fucking hard drug to get off of.
I feel like I would know by looking at her if she did heroin. And
yeah,
no, just looking back on it, it was a lie, you know what I mean? It was a lie told for a good reason. Probably a lot of kids in that room cried and said they're never going to do drugs.
Yeah. But dude, mine wasn't all in Spanish, and bro, I don't think you know, man. Spanish Catholics, fanatical as fuck, man. That had this guy, man. The way they guilt tripped. And you ever seen that like video on the internet where it's kind of like they change the water from clear to black, and then like the clear water is Christ and it turns the black water clear again? You ever seen that? It's like a little weird chemical
That
reaction.
sounds like a fucking OxyClean commercial, dude.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, but it was like that.
I have not seen it.
The whole moral of the story.
OxyClean, though.
The whole moral of the story was to open your heart to Christ, because you're full of sin, yada yada yada. This is drogas, pornografía, and da 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 da. But then the guy put a lid on the cup full of black water, whatever, and the guy kept pouring the like water to clear it in it, but he had a lid over it, so he kept just pouring it in. So big ass full glasses of water that he kept putting over over the lid, so it kept splashing everywhere. And this is what happens when you don't open your heart to Christ. But he's saying it in Spanish, and then I guess it's guilt tripping a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's this guy. I feel so bad bringing up the story. I'm not gonna say his name, but this guy fucking straight out blares, "Sole por mí, sole por mí." He's like straight like bawling his eyes out, goes on his knees, and is like crying out to God. And it's like, damn, dude, and it like caught everybody off guard, like these little outbursts that some people would have, because the people that were there for the retreat were like, some were recovering drug addicts and all this other stuff. And they kind of like, I guess, were paid from their family, yada, 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 to put them on that retreat, kind of give them a cleanse, because we weren't allowed to use our phones. They took them before the trip,
Yeah,
and they gave them back to us.
That happened to me too, man.
And they put them in an envelope, and it's kind of like, you learn, what the hell?
It's all very similar. It's all very kind of culty, dude. And I mean, that's kind of like a thing, is just like to yell at people and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that happens in Scientology too, where they do auditing, where they basically just talk shit to you about stuff you do wrong, and they keep on talking shit to you until you have some breakthrough like that. And then in fucking Scientology, they would say that's a good thing, what happened to just that guy. And even at the retreat, once that guy did that, probably like 4 people ran up to him and they were like, "Oh, it's okay," and everything like that. So I mean, was it good for that guy? Did that guy get his $130 worth? Yeah. You know what? But you know, so I mean, I guess what I'd like to say more than anything is, I'm of the belief that like, if you believe in something hard enough, like you're making it true. Like, I really believe that. So I believe if you want to go into a position where a bunch of people believe very strongly about something, you're probably going to feel it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I also see that how they're getting reactions out of people is kind of like culty and a bit fucked up. And if you replace Jesus with, like I said, Scientology,
or if you replace it with anybody else,
Jim Jones or anything like that, it's kind of like the same things used there.
Yeah, you know, my friend that I went with on the retreat was saying, like, imagine somebody was out in that same desert, just kind of lost, was out hiking, and then stumbles across a room like that, full of just people sleeping in a church, like 40 people sleeping in a church. And it's just like say you don't know who Jesus is, so you just see like a big old picture of some guy's face.
Yeah, that'd be creepy as shit.
Yeah,
you know?
You walk in on that. That's some like Resident Evil 4 shit, to where it's like I would flip my shit if I was like, "Help me, I'm lost," and you kind of like stumble across like this, huh?
Yeah, dude. Instead of the Virgin Mary, you know, it's just a reptilian alien.
Yeah, like
that'd be a totally different ball game, right?
Yeah, that would throw somebody off. And
but then people would be like, no, this reptile helps people.
Yeah,
like these people are addicts, sir. He's giving them hope. You know,
it's the Geico Gecko. Okay,
you know
he is saving 15% on car insurance. God damn it, you fucking kneel.
Yeah.
You kneel.
And I'd like to say that, I mean, if it works for people, it does.
Yeah,
but it seems kind of like a bit bad.
No, but I can always go back on that though. So that, you know, it's like, that's why to me, like, all religions in themselves have a sense of being right, because they give something for people to feel. Just like people write songs, it's like, I want people to relate. You know, it's like if a certain person feels that this is right, who am I to knock them? Because they're feeling something I can't comprehend at the end of the day.
And
I could be like, well,
I believe if enough people believe something, like it has become a real thing. Like I said in the fucking part
it's majority
one,
rule.
It's like a tulpa in that, and, you know, and they're there to kind of like make you
I hate that
believe.
I hate that fucking word, tulpa.
but it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Like, so what I'm saying is, like, do I believe, like, okay, it's very hard for me to, like, believe in everything the Bible says and, like, have an actual picture of God and everything like that. But then you hear all these crazy stories about people praying to God and having a miracle happen and all this crazy shit. And there's some people with unshakable belief. And I believe that, like, if you do have faith like that, and you do pray to God, like, you're going to get results. Like, yeah. But I feel like that all comes from the belief of it. I feel like it all comes from the belief. And because hella people believe in Jesus and a lot of people believe in God, he is real. He is real to some extent. Not in a verifiable way, but he is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And everything that happened and all miracles could be, you know, explained in a really simple way. But I feel like it all comes down to belief. And I just don't agree with how they're almost like forcing belief on people in some ways. You know what I mean? I have to say that I disagree with that. But at the same token, if it works for somebody and it's helped people, like if someone comes up to me and they're going to tell me like, I'm a devout Christian, I believe X, Y, and Z, like I'm not going to try to argue the point to you. Like, yeah. I'm like, it works for you,
at times you will argue the point. I mean, it's kind of like when I think it's always good to, I think there's that fine line between discussion and arguing. Or it's a thin line, honestly, because, you know, you could just be discussing it because you're trying to, like, add some rhyme or some reason to why they do what they do. Because, you know, some people may take it as offensive, but some people are probably generally curious. Like, how do you feel it and I don't? You know what I mean? If it was such a universal feeling, you know, I think we should find a common ground there. And that's where I think we've lost humanity in that way, where it's like we forget that people, you know, are kind of pulling it from the same source, but are gonna direct that energy into something else. Like somebody who uses their passion to say their passion is to be, they had a call from God, you know, to be a priest. You know, that same guy could have had a call from whatever, but he's just calling it a different name.
Exactly.
And he has a passion for that.
Yeah, and if a lot of people hear his story and they're inspired and they believe that it could be true,
yeah,
then it starts working for them, you know. But then you get some people like televangelists where it's like people start thinking they're God. In the sense that he still says Jesus and everything like that, but you have these people like these old ladies sending in hundreds of dollars a month to some televangelist guy, you know, just so they can like go on a show, and then he like slaps their forehead, and then like they think they're healed type shit.
The blood of Christ cloth.
But it's all in the belief, and those people probably really think they're good. But then you look at some of those televangelist guys, and they're like rolling in the money from this shit, and then you find out that some of those televangelist guys have plants in the crowd that talk to people, and they're like, oh, what are you here for? And she's like, I got really bad arthritis. And then she fucking goes and tells the dude, and he's just come out and he's just like, I'm feeling something in the crowd. There is a person here affected with arthritis. Arthritis from the devil. And then she stands up and she's like, I got the arthritis. And he's like, I know you do, sister. We're going to help you with the arthritis. You just need to buy this prayer package for $34.95. So in some ways, and now I look at people like that.
Afford that? How else is going to afford that jet? Come on, Lewis.
But I look at people like that, and it's almost hard for me to say, well, it's working for them, so I shouldn't stop it, because I almost feel like if they looked at it from the outside, they'd say, no, that's really fucked up. You know what I mean? But that's just my personal belief, and I don't want to give anyone power and believe anyone to be that level of prophet and belief.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That also goes back to, they're doing this thing that I heard that they're trying to have those certain, like, they're trying to, instead of throwing people in prison for having drugs, they're kind of like giving people a certain amount of doses of drugs that they're sort of addicted to. I mean, they've, I forgot what country.
That's a rehab and a methadone clinic. And
methadone clinic,
and then they have Subutex, where it's like a drug that, like, it doesn't get you high, but it turns off, like, certain receptors in your brain. And, you know, there's ways to feel better doing that. But I
feel like that there's the parallel in that way.
It's similar to that.
Yeah.
It is to where it's just like, oh no, like you just pay me and then I'm going to do this song and dance.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel good. But I guess my whole thing about it, and me being like not a Christian and kind of looking at it a very different way, is I think it would be a lot better for people if they knew they were paying to see a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than thinking, oh no, this is what's up.
You can't.
Because at the
you
end
can't
of the
break
day,
the illusion, though. You're not supposed to break the illusion. It's like when you're.
But that's what I think is so bad. So like, what I'm saying is like seances and psychics are bullshit.
Yeah.
But some people are really good at spinning bullshit, and I'd love to sit down in a room with with someone like that and be like amazed and be like, wow, that was really cool. But also, I can suspend my belief and be like, that was a great show, that was amazing. But then there's some people that think they're actually talking to their dead relatives and then want to pay more and do it again, and then pay more and do it again because they couldn't say bye. And then another family member wants to talk to them, but oh, I'm not getting a good thing this time. We need to have another session to do it again. And I see how people are profiting off of that too. And that just makes me feel so bad. And that's what I mean.
Sounds like the magician game. It's like a magician.
But what? Yeah, that's what I see a lot of religious people as. I see it as a very similar thing, and I mean, some people say it's bullshit, and then some people will say no, it's really real. But I just, I personally wouldn't want to put my faith in someone like that. And I definitely wouldn't want to give somebody like that my money and time.
I've learned to be neutral to it. You know,
Well, like I said, if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah.
Even if I saw somebody giving thousands of dollars to a televangelist, I would never kind of confront them about it because that's their right to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same token, I kind of see that televangelist person. I'm kind of like, you're really taking advantage of some fucking people here.
Yeah. So you're more mad at the televangelist. You're mad at the leader more than the follower.
I feel sorrow for the follower. Like, that makes me feel bad. I wish it wasn't like that. But then again, you know, if it works for you, it works for you. I've not ever felt good in a situation like that, but some people really, really do. You know?
And these people have been around since the beginning of time.
Bro, you want to talk about somebody like that? Talk about fucking Rasputin. That was a priest that essentially told the Russian family he had fucking superpowers and could keep his son alive who had a rare blood condition, and they believed him and paid him millions of dollars and let him live in the palace and gave him all this drink and drugs and shit. And then they thought he was so smart that they started asking him advice on military shit in the war and everything like that. And he led to a fucking massive-ass war in Russia because he was literally like, oh, what? You want to ask me? Oh, yes, the Grand Rasputin says, fight against the people, and then they have a huge revolution, and then the people that he told to do that eventually get killed, and then his ass gets killed too. But what I'm saying is, like, that kind of belief in something can be dangerous and can almost be weaponized. Like, look at fucking terrorism, dude. Like, not every fucking Muslim, like, believes all this crazy shit, but if you fucking talk to some of them that are radicalized, they literally have been told, like, oh no, dude, you're fighting a war right now. There's a war on this planet against fucking the infidels, like, and if you fight in it, you will get eternal glory. You will get fucking 72 bitches that will suck your dick every fucking day. And all this crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you were to believe that, you know, and you live in a shitty place where there's no paved roads, there's fucking sand blowing everywhere, and it's fucking terrible, like, wouldn't you want to do it? Like, wouldn't you want to go do that? You know what I mean? And our religion is very different in the sense, or at least some of our religion is different in the sense that ours is basically like, be a good person and you're rewarded. There's not necessarily anything wrong with
they
that.
share the same thing because it's always like, what am I getting out of it? You think if people will follow religion if they didn't like think the whole thing of like, oh, well, I'm gonna at least, you know, I'm gonna believe that I'm gonna go to heaven or I'm gonna be resurrected or I'm gonna do this. I'm given a chance because
people believe that they have something to gain or something to lose.
Yeah, of course, they have something to lose and they have something to gain.
So
just
they're all
like
kind of acting out of a selfish action anyway.
Exactly. That's my point.
But then the whole thing about religion is to be selfless. But the whole thing about that is just almost like, don't care about you, care about the church, care about us, bro. Just like the Muslims, it's like, oh no, your life on this earth doesn't matter. But if you fucking kill like 30 infidels, oh man, like you're fucking set, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's where kind of the Bible and the Quran kind of have that same similarity to where it's like your life here in this moment doesn't matter. Yeah. This is a temporary thing.
And that's very weird that religion has that. And it's very strange for a
It's not.
religion to just basically kind
That's how you manipulate. That's how you push.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Is yes, that's normal when it comes to a lot of religions. But what I'm saying is, I think it would be best to have something that says, "Oh no."
If we base it down to how we reacted as children, and we start to find patterns, because that's what we're good at as a species, is that we find patterns. So we're going to manipulate. We're going to exploit certain aspects. No matter how minute it was, we did it as children too. Like, that's why sometimes babies even fake cry, because they notice patterns with the whole, like, they go
Exactly.
and then if you're not reacting to it, oh, okay, caught me in my bullshit. It is deep down embedded in us.
Yes, and that's rather crazy, and it's very interesting how a lot of religions share similar things in the sense that there's like almost a lot of religions like say that there was a God that made everything and then just kind of fucked off.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of religions that are like that, and it's like, oh, he comes around occasionally, but he doesn't do a lot. And then in almost every religions, there's some asshole that came to Earth to save somebody from some evil shit.
Yeah. Or
like,
it's always like, well, it's funny because it's the same religions that say God works in mysterious ways, when it's like, how can you say that when there was like, we got this big ass book saying that explains why God did those certain things.
Yeah, but that big ass book is interpreted. This is a whole other thing.
Yeah,
dude. Like that big ass book is also interpreted in like such a horrible way that like there's so many different things and people read it differently and infer different things, that like under the same tent of Christianity, you have people that literally are just like, no, you can't fuck, you can't drink, you can't do caffeine, you can't do nicotine. That's bad. You gotta love each other. You gotta give to everyone, and wonderful people like that. And then you have people like the West Baptist Church that are literally like, you know what God wants you to do? Go hate on faggots. Go talk all the shit you want about faggots. Hate on them. Tell them they're sinners. Tell them they're going to hell. Tell soldiers they're going to hell. Tell anyone who listens to modern music they're going to hell. Tell Jew. But they fundamentally are using the same source material, but they're like they're reading something very different in it.
No, it's they're putting different emphasis. Like, it's like whatever kind of works in that favors. It's you're choosing what emphasis to focus on. Like, yeah, it may have said that like in a way to where it's like, oh, homosexuality's unnatural. He said it's unnatural. We gotta go fucking out there and burn those fucking fags to the ground and shit like that. When all it was trying to say was you can't make a baby, and what our point is to do is to procreate. Man on man relations doesn't work. Our whole body is to procreate.
So and I almost feel like a lot of the things in the Bible, it was just practical advice. Where what if a lot of people died because of like diseases and things like that?
Yeah,
and they were literally saying, it's like, hey, you know what? People using butt sex are dying a lot. Maybe we should say like, you shouldn't do that. The same thing with pork. Maybe people were just like, oh fuck, people are dying.
They're not cleaning pigs, and
so
pigs
we need to
dirty.
Compared to and it's just very strange how one thing can be interpreted so many fucking ways. You know what I mean? And see the same thing about it, and then we think that Bible has been translated in like 12 different languages and then was rewritten hundreds and hundreds of times and then totally rewritten by Shakespeare, and then they retranslated old shit and then applied that to the Shakespeare one. And it's literally just like, there's so much hearsay in that, and you're already assuming that all those things are inspired by God, by people that wrote about Jesus hundreds of years after he was alive, and you're just kind of like, there's so much room for change and interpretation that even if at the start of everything, if it was a necessarily pure and good thing, and in some places it is still a very necessarily pure and good thing, it's just been bastardized and changed so much that it's become like it is today.
It's like playing a game of telephone.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And now the telephone message has become 900 pages long, and nobody can agree on what it means at all. And we fight over it, and have had wars over it, and have genocided people over it, and have killed people over it, and we're still fucking doing that today, dude.
Do you consider yourself a very cynical person?
This podcast probably makes me seem like it, But I think
No. It doesn't fucking matter what this fucking podcast
I
thinks.
feel like we have a lot of problems, and myself and my life personally, I don't feel like I have a lot of problems, but I'm also thankful because I feel like I'm rather intelligent and I can see what's going on. But at the same token, every day I feel like I see people who are fucked over day in and day out by the system, by religion, by crooks, by scammers, and then I see how our country is getting fucked in certain ways, and then I see how like humans are fucking the world, and it's almost like I see the problem and then I understand how we could fix the problem, and then at the same token I also understand why we will never fix the problem.
I don't know.
And that's what fucking gets me.
The only reason why you seem kind of cynical is because, I mean, you do like point out a lot of the negative of it, but it's the fact I think you're throwing out really valid points. Do you see any type of positivity that comes from anything we talked about today? So whether it be religion.
I feel like there's a lot of positive things in religion, and there's a lot of positive things in belief. And like I said, if it works for you, it works for you. My main issues is how people use it on other people almost. But in terms of people who pray and have a relationship with God, that's good. Like the people that were drug addicts at your camp, maybe one of them had a breakthrough and decided to never do drugs again. That's a positive benefit.
Yeah.
Even though, so does that end justify the means? Like, well, maybe it does. You know, maybe it does. Maybe that's right of them to do that. You know what I mean? So I think that can be good. I think belief is good. I think Christianity as a whole and the tenets of like, if you read if you read the fucking
well, you know what's funny? That like, you know, religion bashes science and vice versa in a way to where it's like, but religion does the same thing, just like how science does, that they run a lot of case studies. They may not fact check the book and like the doctrines, but they do case studies on how they pretty much handle people. You get what I mean? That's why they like practice these certain things, like the way they
in the same way that like religion can be used for good and evil. I mean, I feel the same way about science, dude. Like, people using bogus ass facts to sell things. People saying this is scientifically better,
like snake oils and all that type of shit. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is like, dude, it's not just in religion. It's not just in religion, and I think a lot of good things can come from all of that, you know. And I mean, have I had positive experiences in Christianity? Yeah. But I've seen a lot of negative too, and I've had positive experiences in other forms of religion and things I've done. Like, I have. So that's good. And more than anything, I just feel lament about seeing people taken advantage of. I wish I could help everything, and I wish I could make the world a better place. And I just see ways where it cannot, for reasons that people worry about money more, for reasons that even me, you know, and things like that, you know, to say we could all have electric cars. Yeah, we could all have, rather take that back, hydrogen-powered cars. And that's perfect for the environment because it just combusts down the water. And we could convert just about any car to run on hydrogen very, very simply. The only problem is it costs a bit more money and we can't sell any oil. And oil is what our country's based upon. So, because
isn't oil used for a lot of plastic products, though?
It is.
I would think
petroleum is used for a lot of that. Well, no, they make gasoline, and with the stuff left over from not making gasoline, they use that. So it's like we're using all of the oil.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, because of that, because we don't want to lose that strength in our economy, and because people want to sell oil, we will not have a car like that. You know?
Yeah.
And I just feel like I see a lot of examples like that where the world could be a much better place, but because of the powers that be or something like that, it cannot. You know what I mean? For the same thing that, like, say the Catholic Church, like, you know, you heard the new Pope, like, he even said, like, he literally told a gay man, God made you that way. And people got mad. Like, people were literally like, did you just say God made
Pope
gays?
Francis said that?
Yes. And people lost their shit. And what I'm saying is,
Papa Francisco.
I think if you sat down and talked with any Catholic priest about, like, and had an honest conversation, like you and I are talking now, about homosexuality, they would honestly be like, listen, it's not that bad. Like, you are who you are, and because you want to be better and be a good person, you're doing the right thing. And though you do that, God still loves you, and you can still be a good person. But for the Catholic Church at the highest level to come out and say, no, homosexuality is not bad, people would lose their fucking minds. Half the church's followers would leave. All the people giving them money would be like, what the fuck? So they can't kind of flip that script. And it's happening slowly. It always does.
Well, they have to adapt with the way the culture is.
They are adapting. But what I'm saying is it comes in very slow ways like that. And I feel like the whole world is almost resistant to change in a lot of ways. And that really does suck, you know?
Yeah. Shit. I mean, in some ways, I think the world changes so much, but at the same time, not at all. It's almost like when you go day by day, you don't notice the changes, but once, like, 2 years passes, you're kind of like, damn, a lot's changed. You don't notice it day by day. So,
Exactly.
I mean...
Exactly, and I mean, like, that's what I said, I don't want to be too cynical. I got a lot of hope for the future. I mean, I feel like some laws are going in the right way in our country, and I feel like some things are not, but I just wish I didn't see so much corruption and things such as that.
I kind of see you as a humanitarian. Like, I think you... In myself, I can agree that on this philosophy, it's like I believe in humans. I believe in... I believe in accountability. You know what I mean? If we just took more ounce of accountability...
If everybody cared a little bit more... there's a very famous quote that says, like, all these ideas for utopias would be great if everyone was a philosopher. So if everyone cared, and everyone was kind of thinking... the way you and I are thinking right now, like, we could enact some true change on Earth. But the reality is that we don't, dude. And that's... I'm guilty of that, too. I don't want to come across right now as like, oh, I'm so great because I think about these things. Because at the end of the day, am I going to fucking volunteer my time to clean up the environment? Am I going to do any of this shit? I'm not, dude. Money's more important. My own pleasure is more important. My family's more important. Doing shit I want to do is more important.
Yeah, you don't consider yourself any better than the next guy. But
I don't at all.
And do you consider yourself a whistleblower at all? You can't. Well, you're not really a whistleblower because you're not.
I'm trying. If anyone listens to this and maybe thinks for a second, yeah, religion can be somewhat manipulative. It can do some good things, but some bad shit happens with it, and then just kind of say, yeah, you know what, I see that, like, not everybody has, though they may say your best interest is at heart. You know what I mean? So if that raises a little bit of awareness, that's really cool. That's awesome, but...
Well, I think the concept in itself has to be manipulative, but I'm saying not even just manipulative. Let's say persuasive. Because...
Yeah, you gotta tell a specific
you gotta
story,
sell it.
Dude, if religion didn't seem like you right now, there's something great at stake.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
be
into
and that's with
it.
anything, like, in this life, is you have to be sold.
Yeah, no, I was about to say
an
that
idea.
too. I was about to say it's almost like a sale, and to tell somebody, hey, you think this life is important? This life only lasts for this long, but there's something called your soul that lasts forever. And if you don't follow this shit right now, it's going to go to a bad place forever. That's a compelling ass argument. You know what I mean? And it's a lot less compelling.
It plays off of uncertainty. It always plays off of uncertainty. Just like how, oh my God. I just thought of a really big, huge similarity. You know who's exactly like this?
Uh-huh.
Insurance companies.
Yeah, it's the same.
Insurance companies play off of uncertainties. Like, if you don't have this and this breaks, you're fucked. We can't replace it.
Yeah. So you pay the money for that.
Yeah.
You're paying for peace of mind. And and a lot of people would kind of say, like, what the hell? Like, why would anybody, like, just go to church because they're being afraid of going to hell? But in reality, I think that's a lot of people, dude. I think a lot of people do kind of take it that far. You know what I mean? And I feel like the majority of people who would say, oh no, religion's good, it's a good idea, it's a good way to live through your life, and I want to be that way. but you know, I'm not fanatical about it. Like, those kind of people are kind of at arm's length with the church, and the people that are really, really there constantly and everything like that, they are very much probably believing in hell and all of that to the letter, rather than seeing it as, oh, it's a good philosophy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can think that and be like, oh yeah, there's some good there, but then at the same time, I'm kind of like, oh, I see a hell of a lot of bad shit there, too.
The main leaders have to believe it too. In order for you to sell something good,
you got to believe in it yourself, dude.
So
that's what I mean. If
that's
fucking
what goes
Billy
on
Mays
that.
didn't like OxyClean,
oh, he likes some sort
coming
of white,
back with the OxyClean.
he likes some sort of white powder, man. Rest in peace to that guy, man. Oh man, I miss Billy Mays. Billy Mays, if that was one guy to sell me, that's even he man. That was the pimp of the game. Even over John Sullivan was, hi, I'm John Sullivan, and
Oh, John Sullivan's not even that good, dude.
yeah, I know. Nobody's got shit on Billy Mays. Even the fucking
The ShamWow guy.
the ShamWow, the you're gonna love my nuts guy.
You're gonna love my nuts. Look at this. Look at this. Grated cheese, pasta, tortellini, fettuccine, linguine.
Damn, you have that shit fucking rehearsed and remembered.
Look at this chicken salad. You know how long this takes? You take the pickle and the red onion. Boom, boom, boom. Chicken salad.
Oh man,
You know, it's amazing. It's amazing, but yeah, a lot of companies play on uncertainty like that, okay?
shit. Speaking of salesmen, I mean, at least we find salesmen that kind of lighten this mood, man. I feel sort of tense in a way to where I'm like, this makes my mind just kind of like question so much. You know, you ever like have those times to where your mind questions like a lot of shit to where it's like it's an overload and you feel like you're kind of hallucinating a little bit to where like you almost
I do, but at the same token, like, I feel like it's very good. It's very, very good to doubt. And it's
Yeah.
very, very good to question. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if you were going to take everyone at face value and believe everything that everyone says, you'd be taken advantage of everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, people believe that if they go to a gym and pay for a gym membership, they're going to lose weight. But it really doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? But if you sit down at a gym, they're going to be like, do you know how good your fitness is about to get? We're going to get you a personal trainer and all this shit. And in reality, if you're not putting in the work, that's not going to help you, dude. You know, or to say you go to Sam Ash, right? That's a good example because we play music and somebody's just like, oh, dude, you know what you need to sound fucking dope? You need this fucking kind of guitar. And then you kind of believe that that's going to really help you and everything like that, you know? And a lot of companies play off of that. Fucking security things, you know?
Yeah.
Dude, they literally show people's houses getting broken into and they're just like, yeah, now if you have us, always you're going to be safe. And in reality, you're not fucking safe if you have an alarm, dude. That means the police are going to show up after you're fucking dead, essentially. Yeah. Like, wow, good fucking job, like AGT. Like, that doesn't do
Always
anything,
there.
dude.
I will say their alarm systems are pretty fucking annoying.
I wouldn't fucking pay for an
What
alarm,
are we at
dude.
right now? We're at the 48-minute mark. Damn, we're telling you, man. You picked these subjects. Did you pick? Yeah, you picked the subject. You picked the subject for this part 2 part. Damn, you find
It's summation.
this.
If I'd like to add something to this, you asked me about positivity.
Yeah.
I'd like to just lay down my personal beliefs that I truly believe that if you believe in something, that something becomes true, for better or for worse. And I do believe in the power of manifestation and creating your own destiny. And if you think about nothing but playing video games and doing nothing, then you're going to end up being a bum and playing only video games and doing nothing. If you think every day
you can't
about
even say
wanting
that
to
nowadays. You can't even say that nowadays. The same people who are stuck playing these video games are fucking making crazy amounts of money.
Twitch and everything like that, but
That's what blows my mind.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of those people are thinking about wanting to be popular and be seen by a bunch of people, and they want to be famous. For
you're
playing
talking
video games.
about the hermits who, like, you know, they basically live their life inside of an RPG.
What I'm saying is, I feel like you become what you most think about. And if I could quote one thing, that this is the most ancient adage in a very, very ancient book that many things are based on, called the Cabal, that says nothing is true, but everything is permitted. That's to say that everything's bullshit unless you don't want it to be. And the second you start believing in something, I believe it becomes real. And that could be good or bad.
Creed.
So that's how they say, like, you know, you talk about like Murphy's Law and if you think about something bad happening or you tempt fate, it'll happen. I believe that could be good or bad. So in the terms of everything, I don't care what you believe, but if you believe it's helping you, it's helping you, goddammit. Like, it is. Whatever that fucking is. Like, God, Satan, fucking Momo, Slenderman, any of that bullshit, fucking Billy Mays, alright? You want to fucking pray to him to get the stains out? I bet it'll fucking work. Like, you just need to believe that.
So anything,
and I feel like
anything you idolize can give you power if you let it.
And I feel like this world has a very strong way of taking that power away from us. And rather than making us believe in ourselves, it makes us believe in other things. Like I said, it makes us believe that we need to have a really cool car before chicks will hit on us. It makes us believe that we need to buy a shit ton of musical equipment before we start making music because that's what the pros use. It makes us believe that we have to dress a certain way to be accepted. It makes us believe that we have to watch a certain news program or read a certain book to be cool like everybody else. So rather than believing in ourselves, like, we're almost sold on this other shit and we believe all of it. And then we start trying to make other people believe our bullshit with Facebook and things like that to say, oh no, look at how good my life is. No, look at how happy I am. I'm really happy. And then you go look at what you did last weekend and you see the pictures you took and then you're just like, oh, I am pretty happy. You know what I mean? But it's just almost like that. You know, and I feel like that's a huge part of it. Like I said earlier on this thing, I believe that, like, people kind of, like, show or want to show that, like, it's more important to show other people that you're happy than to actually be happy.
I wish I could show you how to put on some headphones because you could actually hear how you sound.
Is it really loud?
No, it's not even when it gets really loud. It's just when you kind of move around to the, I guess, to your right side is when you actually get to hear, like, your voice's presence, because right now it always sounds like you're, like, far away, but it's fine. I mean, it's still picking you up. It's just funny because it's like when you lean in, it's like deep as fuck.
Well, that's my personal belief. What do you think about it, man? Religion, bullshit or real?
Real, because it goes off the same principle of what you said.
But is that the way? That's the way you're seeing it. So, but you are going to say that tangibly, God and Jesus and everything like that is not a true thing, but only because we have made it a true thing.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that that's how so many things in this world really, really are. And I mean,
who's to not say that at some point back in the BC times or this time, that somebody came to an epiphany and said, we need a savior. We need this. And they manifested something. Yeah.
That's perfectly true. That's perfectly true. And it could have all been very similar to that. And then other people who saw that kind of said, oh, you know what? We should get a bunch of people to believe in this and we could charge admission to parties about it.
You gotta think it's like friends, man. When friends find common ground, these are perfectly natural things that happen. I'm not saying that guy's right. I'm not saying that guy's right. I'm just saying that they all have such a common place that I'm just mad that the world can't see the common place.
You can't see our similarities, and we're just gonna fight about them because
we're emphasizing such minute things, like say.
Like skin color.
Skin color. What the? Like, that has nothing to do with it. And it's just kind of like one guy has just been like, that's where kind of like people take, I guess, a stereotype to the nth degree. And then you can call it racism. But stereotypes, to me, are a good thing. It's a form of judgment because naturally we're going to judge. It's embedded in us. It's inside of us how we got to judge. It's our fight or flight instincts. No matter what. Like, if someone was to, like, some strange guy was to walk through that door, he didn't do anything. He's not going to do anything.
But even then, I would be like, what the
fuck? It puts you on edge because...
Like, and he could have been coming here because, like, somebody was having a heart attack in the street or something. Yeah. But my first reaction would be to, like, go get my gun. Like, obviously.
You'd want to shoot that dude walking through the door. And he say he's unarmed and everything. Right? He's just unarmed. Yeah. He's just some dude just walked in. and or like you're sleeping, like just like
But
some
that's
dude.
not, yeah, but that's not how our concern works. You know, like we're immediately like when faced with that situation.
No, but
I'm immediately thinking
I'm
about
saying,
me and my own.
all it took was one person to fuck that up, though. What if people used to do that back in the day, where it's kind of like we didn't have locks on our doors, but it took one asshole to be like, people don't have locks on their doors. I'm gonna go inside that guy's house, my neighbor's house, jack his freaking his beans, his 10 beans, because I need 15 beans and all I have is 5. And then it just went down the line of like,
And it's very wonderful. It's very strange to think about that, but I would argue kind of the opposite, that what the fuck made us do the opposite in the sense of kind of the vast majority of people not think that way, because I almost feel like it's been in our nature to think that. And that's almost like what we need to get over. That's like the primal side of us that makes us think like, who the fuck is that outside or whatever? You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like it is a primal instinctual thing, and it's kind of in our nature to get as much food, and it's in our nature to fuck as much as possible, and it's in our nature to be like as big and bad as possible to protect like what we want and what we care about. And it's almost like we've evolved a lot, and we have all this technology and all this knowledge, and we've had all these people write all this amazing literature and philosophies about how we could all be together and love each other and everything like that. But at the end of the day, like, most people are mainly concerned with their shit. Like, their shit. Like, dude, you know, okay, all the people that play the lottery, dude, like, what if, like, everyone that played the lottery hoping to win, what if that money was pooled together and then people applied to get some of it? And they were like, no, these are the problems I have in my life, and I need money. And they're like, oh, okay, we're going to give you $100,000 to help with your medical bills. Next person. All right, you need this much. But instead, people are like, no, I'd rather take my chances at winning all the fucking money, way more money than I fucking need, like millions, like hundreds of millions of dollars, as opposed to, like, that's what I mean. But if you ask somebody playing the lottery, hey, would you rather make your odds like 400 times better by just taking $1 million and splitting it with 500 people? Or would you want to win all 500? And they're just like, I'm going for the 500. Like, that's what I mean. But that's our nature, dude. That's kind of what humans are at the end of the day. And we want to be selfless, and we want to act better. And it would be a much better...
I wonder why we don't do that. That's actually a smart idea. Because all these people paying $10 a ticket to play...
But the idea is you win it all. That's what I mean. But it wouldn't it be weird if there was some kind of unspoken agreement between hundreds of thousands of people? Like, if anyone in this friend group wins the lottery, we're all gonna split it. Yeah. And it would be more than enough money to keep everybody happy, and it would be great. But people don't act that way. And even if
that goes back to socialism, though, it's like where it's like.
But even if let's say that like 100,000 people did agree. And they did that, and then they win, whoever was in charge of all those people when they got the 400, 500 million would probably just been like, oh shit, you know, I could probably just keep this and walk away. They couldn't take it. Like, that's what I mean. As long as the temptation is there, bro. As long as the temptation is there, and it's in our nature. I don't feel it's in our nature to help people. I don't. I feel like that's something that's been taught to us. And it's good. And I wish everyone was a utopian. I don't have any quarrel with anyone. I don't want to fight anybody. I just want to, like, take care of my own shit, you know? And if we were in some kind of world where it's just like, hey, you can have all the drugs you want. You can have all the food you want. You can have all of this. We have healthcare and everything. You just need to fix people's cars. Then I'd work on cars for free. Because I knew somebody else was making weed for me. And then somebody else would cut my hair for free. And that sounds really perfect. But people are kind of greedy. It sounds like you take
a lot of acid. Because I've heard the same exact thing said by a person saying we should run off a trading system like that.
But well, that's what paper money is, and the whole idea of it is like you should be able to put in your time, get compensated fairly, and then you get to use that money for somebody else. And the main problem is, though, we have corporations, and we're in kind of a level right now where a lot of work is unfair and benefits people at the top. And then there's people at the top like Warren Buffett, who, I don't know if you know this, he's an extreme fucking cheapskate. Like, he doesn't like to spend money on everything. He eats a sausage McMuffin every day for breakfast. I'd kill myself if I had to eat a sausage McMuffin every day for breakfast. But do you know how much money that guy has? Yeah. Literally hundreds of billions of dollars, and he's not doing anything with it. If he wanted to, he could help out a hell of a lot of people, but he's not going to. And even when he fucking dies, that's just going to go to his kids.
Well, you got to think about it this way, too. You got to see where...
If I was in his position, I wouldn't be giving fucking money to anyone either. I don't fucking blame him, dude. Yeah. But what I'm saying is there's this huge inequality, and there's a lot of examples I could think of like that, to where it's just kind of like...
Well, it's the competitive game that we've kind of been thrown into as children of this American society.
Yeah,
it's kind of a game. No. It's
I didn't really agree on these rules, and neither did you. We're just kind of here now, and we're like, oh fuck, I got to make money to live, and this is what I have to do to make money. You know what I mean?
Well, so, but we got to take into account that some people don't see living in excess as living in excess. They see it as that's normal living to them. It's kind of like when
some people living out how we live would be like, well, this is bullshit, dude. I'd kill myself.
Yeah.
Where I don't think my life's that bad. You know what I mean?
Like I don't. Like, you know
and then there's some people in Africa that look at you and I, or even bums in this country, and are like, what a mecca. What a paradise.
What a paradise. Let me...
That's what I'm saying.
That guy's got a coat on his back.
Yeah, that guy's got a coat on his back. He can use the bathroom in that public park anytime he wants. There's a drinking fountain there.
Oh, shit.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, so, dude, we have it so good. But even at the same token, we want more. And that's human nature. And the whole thing about socialism and everything like that is I don't think we can get over that. And even though if it's a system designed for everyone to be fair and equal, in every time that is tried, it just hasn't worked because somebody has just gotten a little bit greedy and like done some shit like that. And once again, I can't fucking blame them, dude. I can't fucking blame them, because if I have a power in my life to get more of something, like, I'm gonna do it, dude. Mm-hmm. And some people, you talk about psychopaths, are gonna take like what I'm saying like to a whole nother level, you know, where like I'm not a bad guy, like I'm not a crook, like in my job I'm not screwing people over. But some people who do what I do, being mechanics, can fucking like just, dude, like I could take like a $50 thing that's nothing for me to change and then tell them it's $1,000 and then keep the money. You know what I mean? And they're just saying like, fuck you, it's better I have it than you dumbass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's some people that do it to way more of an extreme than me, and I don't want to be that way, and I'd like to be fair, but still, that greed is in me. And if it was my opinion to take it or not, I'd be fucking taking it, dude.
Well, I think there's a motive behind it, because what you put out there, you kind of reap what you sow, and what comes around goes around.
If that's the case, then how are there so many rich pieces of shit? How are there, like, dude, Warren Buffett, do you know why he's famous? Dude, he's invested in privatized prisons. So he's making money off of literal slave labor. But he's also invested in poor income housing. So he takes poor people and raises their rent and makes even more. So, dude, he's treating people like utter shit. Well, and he's living at the top. So what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to like,
these are the same people who hang out with, like, they hang around like-minded people. You're going to adapt to a world like that. I mean, the people that are around.
How you said like you reap what you sow. I think that's true in several ways, in the sense that I also believe that, as cold as it sounds, in this world, you succeeding is someone else's failing. If you got a raise, somebody didn't get a raise. If you get a job, somebody else who really needed a fucking job, maybe more than you, doesn't have one. Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, yeah, if you don't hustle and fuck people over, you're not going to end up with much, dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes that bites you in the ass and comes around, but if you keep hustling even more then, and you got money for attorney fees when it comes around and bites you in the ass, you're even more powerful.
I believe it's all a part of a balance. There's got to be a winner and there's got to be a loser.
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's where we can agree on that. I mean, you can always say it sucks, but I think you have to eat shit every once in a while. It's just, you know.
Yeah.
It's at times it's not preventable, and sometimes it is. But most of the time, it is preventable.
Yeah.
If you're
and you wanna, we all want to be kind, and when I see things that are bad in the world, like a lot of things I've talked about right now, it hurts me. It really does. But at the same token, you know, if I emptied my bank account and had all my cash to my name on me, and then gave money to every single person in this fucking town that asked me for it, I'd be a bum just like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're not everybody necessarily is just asking out of necessity.
Yeah.
At the same token. So, in that way, I can't really be a perfectly nice utilitarian, utopian, like, awesome person.
Yeah.
Because then you're just treated like shit. Like, as they say, like, the nice guy finishes last type shit. I feel like that also very much applies to today's world. I really do.
I mean, shit, that can always, you've ever heard of, you've heard of Nipsey Hussle, right?
What?
Nipsey Hussle, the rapper who just died,
Tell me.
who got shot. Damn, you living under a rock. But either way, man, this guy gave back to his community, like, I guess tenfold, and just kind of like built businesses, black-owned businesses, and this and that. And then it was a black guy who took him out, who shot him.
But that almost always plays out. As funny as that is,
That's not funny at all, man.
okay,
it's
not
fucked up.
as funny as wrong as okay, as awful,
ironic, I
as
guess.
ironic as that is. That just seems how it always plays out. When there is somebody who comes out to say that we can help everybody, and I want to see the change in the world and everything like that, it's so bad that oftentimes people like that get killed, and I almost feel like it's society fighting back. You know what I mean? Once again, losers in society. So say like the people that killed MLK, you know, as deluded their minds were maybe thinking, well, fuck that. If black people have the same rights that we have, I'm going to lose my job. There's going to be all this competition. They're going to live in my neighborhood, and then my rent's going to go up. So for selfish reasons, they're saying, fuck that. Like, we're going to keep you down. I'm going to shoot this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they can't see that would have benefited them too.
Of course.
And it's really kind of grim in that way that a lot of people who have ideas like that, Mahatma Gandhi, fucking so many other fucking people, dude, get killed. Fucking JFK, dude. Fucking similar shit. Anybody that really wants to, like, be the good in the world like that. Fucking Jesus, dude, if you want to go back that far, dude. Same fucking thing.
Jesus. I'm so confused on what my time is right now. Hold on. Yeah. They always got to, I guess, not crucify, but they always got to take out the guy who was pretty much... who could do no wrong.
But that's almost like, but it's almost always from like a hater perspective. Like even the people that killed Jesus were like, "You're the king of the Jews. You're our savior." I don't believe it. You're not the savior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though a lot of good was happening, like that. Yeah, that's you know. Is this shit 2 fucking hours right now?
That's what it looks like. It's reading. It's weird. Shit, I almost spilt water on the fucking interface.
Be careful over there, man.
It's got, it pisses me off. It has these big ass vents, and it has vents on the side. So if you spill anywhere near it, it's like, what's weird about these like really expensive fucking things?
They're
it's
designed to break.
They're designed to break. But this, I will say, like the steel that it's made out of, fucking some powerful shit. But yeah, I'm trying to see if this is read at 2 hours. That can be, man. I must. Shit, you know what? Since we're still on this fucking topic of like mind-blowing shit and on top of philosophies and the world ending and shit, man. I mean, this is some freaking heavy stuff. You remember? Do you remember when we were, I guess, in high school, when you were telling me about the Earth spinning faster now?
I just saw a mosquito by you. I think so.
Oh man,
You talking about the quick? Were you talking about the quickening?
Yeah, I think
That
that's
whole
what
thing?
we're talking about. Yeah.
What about it?
I want you to elaborate on that since we're on that next.
The quickening was referring to a time where technology was to advance like really, really fast that we were approaching. And there's certain really weird things that if you're of a conspiracy mind, like when it comes to CERN and things like that, like how people talk about the Mandela effect. Like when all the Mandela effect things were first coming out, they were also running the CERN Hadron Super Collider for the first time, which basically they didn't know when they turned it on if it was going to create new elements or perhaps rip the universe open. Like, it was essentially the most powerful thing we've ever created. And then we didn't know what it was going to do, and it could destroy our world, but we turned it on. And then all this weird Mandela effect stuff kind of started happening. And then if you go and watch, like, informational videos at CERN where, like, scientists talk about it, there are things in the background of videos, like one of them has a sign that says Mandela and things like that. Now, you could say that's a joke, and they're just like, oh, well, people think we're making a new dimension, but, like, people kind of believe that, you know what I mean? And when you talk about the quickening and everything like that, I think we're at a point where technology is moving extremely, extremely fast, and, like, we're getting information in ways that we never before thought possible, and it's almost like a make or break point for our, like, species. And I feel like artificial intelligence and all of that is one. Like, I feel like the coming of artificial intelligence and everything like that, could it help us out? Yes, it could. It could be an incredible thing. It could also be our complete downfall. And I almost feel that also, you know, well, we have all this amazing technology, we're using the wrong things, we're doing the wrong things with it, just to say that, like, all the pollution is killing the earth type things, you know, or all the farming we do is over farming, and it could hurt the world, you know. And you talk about the end of the world and everything like that, a very, very scary thing is global warming, in the sense that there's been many scientists coming out recently that are stating that if the world is to get 2 degrees centigrade warmer per year, wheat could stop growing. And right now, we're already at a point where it's coming out this year that the coffee crop was really fucked up. And then the sugarcane crop was fucked up. And then 2 years ago, avocados were fucking up. And that's why at Chipotle, guacamole was so goddamn expensive and everyone got mad. But the thing is, there is not a single product, like, in this world that does not have grain in it. Our gasoline is made with ethanol that comes from alcohol they make with grain. High fructose corn syrup coming from corn is used as a sweetener in absolutely everything. You cannot get away from it. And to think that right now we're kind of fast approaching a point where we may not be able to make that food anymore, and we haven't thought of a solution to it. But do you see what I'm saying is, what kind of caused that problem of us not being able to go grow grain anymore is us solving the problem of not being able to move around anymore. And then us solving the problem of, like, oh, hey, everyone has cars now. Or us to say, oh, hey, we're going to farm all this bullshit. And hey, we don't need to make sugar. We don't need to make anything but corn. We can just make corn, because we can turn corn into syrup, and then we can make syrup taste like cookies, and syrup taste like this, and syrup taste like that. So it's almost like we have created this situation, and we're not ready to, like, deal with the consequences of it. And that's kind of what's so scary about the quickening in technology and everything like that, that when you solve that problem, you have instantly created another problem, you know? And it's a very scary thing to me to think about that. And we're just not ready for that. And to think that if that were to happen in the next 10 years, I mean, there's a lot of doomsday people that would be ready for it, but I'm not. You know, the vast majority of Americans are not. And without grain, our entire country would, like, collapse. And then, by proxy, the world. But if we never made cars, that wouldn't have been an issue. You know what I mean? But if we never made cars and transport, the world wouldn't be like this. You know what I mean? And it's almost like technology has helped us in so many ways, and also detracted us in so many ways.
Honestly, man, anytime shit like this is brought up, it really makes me feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone, bro. I feel damn.
But that's happening. No, for real. As much as I love coffee, like, I'm drinking coffee right now.
Yeah.
This only grows at a specific altitude. Like, this has to have very specific conditions to grow. And they're already fucking up, so much so that Starbucks is like, hey, like, next year, if we don't have enough coffee, like, our prices are going to double. And that's what I mean. And that could happen
Oh,
to...
I heard that it's happening with chicken wings too.
It's happening with a lot of things, dude. And guess what they feed the chickens? Fucking corn. It all comes back to that grain. Why did the fucking Mayans wipe out? Because they stopped being able to grow shit.
God damn. Holy fucking shit, man. Holy moly, man.
It's been very cynical.
No,
very cynical.
you know, it's not even just cynical. It's, well, like, yeah, it is pretty cynical, but fuck, man, you are going down. Like, I dig you out of one rabbit hole, you go into another one. I dig you out of this rabbit hole, you're going. But I just love how you can elaborate on these damn things, man. It's like, this is some really cool shit. I mean, these are gonna be some great episodes to listen to. I mean, if someone has enough time and they're listening to this whole thing at work, shit, I can only imagine listening to this at work.
I just hope you don't go home and kill yourself.
Right? Just like in the middle of the office, just like...
You're just like, fuck it, dude. I'm gonna die anyways.
Yeah, right? Just like,
dude, the robots are gonna kill me. I'm not gonna have no corn to eat, bro.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do this data...
There is no God.
I'm not doing any more of this data entry shit. I'm gonna go fuck the hell's that AI's name? Sophia, man. You know, have you seen those sex dolls that like are like...
That's coming too, dude. That's on the
already,
way.
Dude, that's already here. No, I've watched some documentary on like some people like order these sex dolls, and they get them down to a specific T. It's like the people who used to work on like movies and do like prosthetics and what the fuck are they called? Those little special effects and the flesh color and all that.
Yeah, no, and I mean, if there's a market for it, that's awesome.
Of course,
dude.
There's a market for it, man. Now the internet gave you delve into the internet subconscious, and you dig real deep into that shit. You find some off the wall thing you can't comprehend.
Yeah,
I mean. Shit, as much of a blessing or whatever you want to call the internet.
There's a bunch of people on the internet who are talking about that who like they can only jack off to cartoons.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Yeah. You know, in Japan, bro, like they're having trouble because people aren't fucking.
Yeah.
Like they're literally having a population crisis, and it's because everyone loves porn and everyone loves anime. Whoa. And it's just kind of like, hey, you could watch this woman that has not an imperfection on her body and tits larger than any human woman, or you can look at this like skinny girl with glasses that's like ugly and you see all these problems with, and she bitches and moans a lot, and you have to pay for her shit.
All you gotta do is fix it the way they did it in what was that movie called, Demolition Man, to where they did the VR fucking, or they had sex on the VR.
I don't even remember that, but I mean that's a novel idea.
That's all you gotta do is you gotta put a VR headset on somebody and fuck somebody. It's like you picture this big titty anime girl, and in reality, you're just fucking...
Dude, what if it's all VR?
Well, we're living right now.
No. Okay, that's an interesting thought, and
that's what everybody said.
I would love to talk about that, but I'm saying more so like, what if grain goes away, but we find some other food source to live about, but eventually the outside world is so inhospitable, like instead of being in Vegas in the summer 120, what if it's fucking 200? And you go out in that shit, you fucking die. And the only
like
way...
surrogates.
The only way for our fucking grandchildren to play and learn about the world and actually see outside is to go into a holodeck and do it pretend. And that's fucking it. Or what if that's us right now? And I mean, that's a very trippy thought. But what I'm saying is, like, I mean, this is like a whole nother thought is like... What if what we're doing right now is, like, the best way to put it is a Rick and Morty episode. I don't know if you watched the show.
Oh, the one where it's like, you're in a simulation within a simulation.
No,
not that one?
No, not that one, dude. No, there's one episode where he goes to an alien arcade, and they play a game called Roy. And you play Roy's life. Dude, what if, in the sense that when we die, we are essentially, that's a game over. And then the second, like, you fucking die, you take off this headset, and you're just like, holy shit, that shit was crazy. And then some friend there with you was like, what happened? And you only remember like 5, 6 of it, and you were just like, oh, I was this black guy, was really hot, and there was like no food. That shit sucked. And he's just like, yeah, dude, that sounds bad. And you're just like, yeah, dude, I think I'm going to play again, but I'm going to spawn from this point in the map, and I'm going to choose to be a white character. And he's just like, all right, okay. And then you go back in. You know what I mean? So...
Well, the game has to have some rules. I think, shit, this is actually a really badass game.
What rules, dude? You think about how good our video games are getting today.
Yeah.
All right? And now you think of what can be simulated.
Do they have to be born in it?
You think of what can be simulated and everything like that.
Yeah.
But then, do you know that, like, we got microscopes so good now that we, like, can go inside an atom and inside a nucleus and then inside a proton and then inside an electron, and we can almost see that when you get down to that level, like, the world breaks down almost to where, like, there is a point where you go so small that mathematics and physics and all of that doesn't make sense anymore.
Doesn't apply.
So that's what I mean. It's so, like, to say, oh yeah, you know, like, there's got to be rules and everything like that. Well, what if there are? And what if the graphics and that and everything like that are just so much better than we realized? And then it makes me think, what about successful people? What if they know full well what they're doing? Like, what if there are actual cheat... Like, so say this is a game. What are the fucking cheat codes? And why are some people fucking successful in this?
Oh my god.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Dude, holy shit. I gotta segment this stuff. I gotta really sit down. And I'm gonna have to listen to this later, but yeah, dude, you're right. You know, you got a cool point to that, but that brings me back to my point. Like, what are the rules?
What the rules are? The rules could just be a simulation like that. So just say we're in like a heaven kind of thing, and we are humans that have instincts that we need to feed and we need to hunt and we need to do all that. But we're in a world where all of our problems are taken care of. And you have all the food you want. You have all the sex you want, because there's sex robots. You could do anything you want. Drugs are legal. Crime is a thing of the past. You don't have to work for a living. You don't have to do anything but exist. And all of the questions are already answered for you. That sounds pretty fucking boring, right? Wouldn't it be fun to just forget about all of that for a second and then play a fucking video game just like we do when we're like, school was fucking boring. I want to play a game where I'm in a war and people are trying to kill me because that's more exciting. Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it?
Have you ever seen that Black Mirror episode called Bandersnatch?
Yeah.
So you're saying something along those lines to where those drastic things that happen to us in our lives could be simulated and controlled by an outside force. You know,
I'm not even saying that. I'm more saying, like,
let me blow your mind with this one though. What if our brain is a parasite? Like the brain itself. You know how like it has to sprout these like separate limbs, like everything just kind of grows from the brain a little bit. And then the heartbeat happens.
Well, this is what I'd like to say. This is, one, we still don't have a definition of consciousness and can't explain where it is in our brains or how it works. That's one. We know a lot of things about where stuff is our brain, but as far as why I am me and know that I am me and can ask questions and like realize that I'm me, we can't explain that. And then at the same token of that, there is no missing link right now between animals and man. And the more and more we go into that and try to like see, no, there was a monkey, but then there was a slightly smarter monkey, but then no, he instantly somehow learned who he was and that he needed a purpose and shit. There's no explanation there. And then some people are like, oh, aliens and blah, blah, blah. Or I'd say, well, what if someone just pre-rendered an Earth and then put in all these stock animals, and then anyone who wants to play the game starts as a fucking human. And then people have been playing the game for centuries and fucking centuries. And it's been going for a very long time. And even to say, okay, maybe it's not a fucking game. Maybe it is our consciousness. How they say animals have instinct, like certain pigeons and stuff, like even when they're born, they know they have to fly a certain direction to go somewhere to mate. And then just a shit ton of other birds are there. Like, is that simple a thing? It's just like, well, maybe when a pigeon dies, that consciousness is passed on in some form. So, like, maybe our balls and our sperm, like, every single one of those sperms is a consciousness of somebody that played the game hundreds of thousands of years ago and is ready to play again. And they were in. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, are they got to be playing the lottery at that point then?
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. Maybe
Yeah.
not everybody gets to reincarnate, and maybe not everyone's lucky. Maybe you get another try at it later on. So to say, we don't know where consciousness is, right? So what if consciousness is a single atom or electron in your body, and then you die? They cremate you or they put you in the ground. You eventually grow and become grass. A fucking bird or pigeon eats a bit of grass. That pigeon dies and a dog eats part of it. That dog shits somewhere near a tree, and then that tree grows fruit. And then a human eats that fruit, and then that fucking consciousness goes into that dude's balls.
What the fuck? Dude, you're killing me, bro.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, some people, when I brought that idea up, were like, that's stupid. That's a dumb idea.
Dude,
the
that's
soul is
fucking
separate
hilarious.
from... They're just like, the soul is separate from the body. And I'm just like, we don't know that.
We don't.
We don't know that.
Well, okay. Well, then, okay. No. Then that makes you right. If they're saying the soul is separate from the body, then that makes you right. Whoever said that to you, of saying like, well, the soul is separate from the body, that just validates your point that you were saying with the whole like, the guy shits there, pigeon eats this, and then we're kind of all sharing the same.
But just by some whole level, and it somehow comes back around. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
I don't think the second you die, you're born again as another person, but I feel like somehow you're able to like live again in some way, and maybe it's a simulation game, or maybe it's our consciousness is carried down, and even in our genetics, like, you know, there's all these kids that like, there's that one kid that he remembered being a pilot, and then they quizzed him a shit ton on being a pilot, and he could answer all these random pilot questions. And then he said,
dude, yeah,
and then he said he was in the war, and then he met some guy that flew on the same plane as the guy he thought he was, and he cried when he saw him, and he was literally like, I remember you. We died together. There's weird things in this world that make me very much think what I'm saying is like true, and I don't even pretend for 1 second to know how or fucking why that shit happens.
Well, it's a recycling of life.
Yeah, and why wouldn't there be a cycle? I feel like everything in our world kind of goes in a circular kind of motion.
Yeah, you know, we were saying that the other day, where it's kind of like
synchronicities and everything like that. So it's kind of like, so that's what I'm saying is, why not? It makes sense to me. Or we die, our soul is separated from our body, and then when we're called back to Earth, we're magically born again. You know, like, I don't even care how it happens, but I'm saying is, I believe that there's some kind of thing to that. So the main thing I'm trying to say is, like, I believe in reincarnation, and I don't know how to say it. As far as us turning into different things, like animals and things like that, I'm not sure if I buy that. But as far as humans coming back at other humans, I believe that. And dude, Mormons believe that. That's why Mormons want to fuck so much, because they're like, no, if you fucking have a child, that is an ancient family member of yours. They believe that. Like, that's what Mormons believe. So, I mean, in that token, there's a lot of shit that I think they say is fucking crazy, but in that way, I'm just like, no, for real. Like, maybe my instinct, like, maybe my great-grandfather is somehow alive in my blood, and when I reproduce, he gets another chance to live.
Yeah, well,
his consciousness somehow. And he might, but certain people, when they're really young...
It's like the Animus from Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and certain people, when they're really young, get taught and learn things, and basically, like, what if instead of raising kids and saying, your name is Tony, no, you like baseball because I like baseball. You're going to go to Catholic school because I went to Catholic. What if you were just like, hey, what's your name, buddy? Like, the second they learn to talk, and you let them make... What kind of kid would that be?
Damn. You know, I thought about that too. Like, I wonder if they ever tried it or if they've ever tested it. Like, with the whole thing of, like, letting a human, like, be totally isolated. Just
That's
put
like
it,
the whole... Dude,
put it in
it's been debated for a long time. That's what Tarzan's about, essentially.
Yeah.
Is nature versus nurture, and the whole thing of, like, whoa, what makes us us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's never really been tested. I don't think anyone's ever tried that.
Well, Tarzan is, like, I mean, a perfect representation of adapting to your surroundings.
Yeah, but at the same token, in Tarzan, he learns to read just because there were books around, you know? And he was raised by monkeys, and he was primate and very instinctual and carnal and everything like that. And then he finds the cabin, and then he starts to read. And then that book is almost making the argument of just like, no, a human's still a human. Even if you teach him nothing and he's lived his whole life, a human's still a human. But in the real world, we argue that if someone doesn't learn to read by a certain age, they'll never be able to.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of arguments and thinking towards that, to where, yeah, if you can't read, and that you're not going to get that later. So that kind of proves that you have to be raised a certain way to be a certain way. But it makes me wonder, it makes me strongly wonder, why is that so?
Well, I mean, I guess the one way you could, test reincarnation, what you were talking about, was like letting, that baby know or ask, like, what's your name? Hey, buddy, what's your name?
That's what, no, but something like that.
Yeah.
But we don't do that, and a lot of parents get freaked out. And I just think of how many times, like, I've heard a kid say something totally crazy, and their parents are like, no, shut up.
Yeah, like they say something off the wall,
like a kid was just like, I'm a fireman, and it's just like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
But what if they were? You know?
Yeah, because there's so many
on the same token,
billions of people that have been born and all this other stuff. So you kind of gotta like, what if souls or consciousnesses are being recycled?
On the same token, like another trippy thing.
Like, why do we choose certain paths in our life that after a while, even though we were like, as adults now, like, why have we chosen the paths that we have, even though we've like been instilled with so many philosophies and religions, but then we question them and then we follow something else, and it's like it feels familiar territory to us, like what we're doing now.
It's like the kind of instinct thing. And the other thing I want to say, just that even trips me out more, is oftentimes I have trouble recalling my dreams, but sometimes you have recurring dreams where you're just in a place, and that place seems familiar, and there's a bunch of people there, and you're like, have a whole life there, but it all seems normal and chill.
Yeah.
And it all seems fine, and so I had a bunch of recurring dreams about being at a boarding school kind of place. But what I'm saying is, like, what if we are someone else's dream, in the sense, and we're dreaming, we're living another life.
We keep crossing over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Because I know for a fact I've had recurring dreams. I'm not going to say all of my dreams are related, but it's almost like I've had a dream, like I said, about a boarding school, where I'm talking to all these people who I don't know in real life, and then I'm learning about things that, like, I don't in real life, and doing all this, but it seems really mundane, it seems normal, and I don't question it for a second when I'm there. And then I wake up, and I'm like, oh, that was really weird. And what if in the dream it's the total opposite? And like, I wake up there and I'm like, dude, I had this crazy dream that I fucking lived in Vegas and played guitar in a band and shit, and I fixed cars for a living.
Dude, I have a fucking crazy ass story to where you ever have those dreams to where you lived out like full days?
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes you have dreams where like something exciting happens, but a lot of times you just have this boring ass dream and you just remember like one part of it that's weird. And I'm just almost like, it seems so mundane, but at the same time, like, I trusted it, I believed it so much that you're just like, well, why wouldn't that be another world, another consciousness, another whatever, dude?
But that's what pisses me off.
And that's another thing that science has zero explanation.
But shouldn't that piss you off? Like, this pisses me off. Like, I don't know why it pisses my brain off, but it pisses my brain off into a way to where I feel like my brain never fully rested when I dream.
Yeah.
Like, it never shuts off. But if you don't dream, if you don't allow yourself to get into that dream state of, like, sleep, it affects you out here. Yeah. Like, it's like, you didn't get REM sleep. Now you're fucking irritable and you want to beat the fuck out of everybody. Yeah. It's like you have to go to the other side. You have to visit that other side every once in a while.
Yeah, and those are the things that, like, really... Like, in my world, the things that really scare me, honestly, are dreams I've had.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I don't really like dreaming all that much. Like, not that I have nightmares all the time, but, like, when I think about things that really scare me, it's things from my dream, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we just don't have an explanation as to why we do that.
No matter if it's mundane, because, like, to me, like, I haven't had a nightmare in a really long time. to where I've woken up like scared, but I've had dreams to where they've stuck with me, and I'm like, I wanted to go back.
Yeah.
Like you have those dreams to where you want to go back, and you're almost mad at yourself. Like I had a dream the other day.
You have this dream where like okay, tell me your story.
I had this dream to where I was pretty much somebody else who was a friend of somebody I really wanted to hang out with. And like I look in the mirror, like in the rear view mirror, like one of those passenger mirrors, like the one you flip down. I look in that mirror, like I'm next to that person. I'm like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. Like I don't look like this. And I look down at my legs, and I have female-like legs. And it's like fucking mosquito. And it's like I look down. You know how in dreams you're not supposed to see yourself in mirrors? You never really see yourself in a mirror. Yeah. I'm somebody else. Like I am literally a smaller, like Hispanic girl. But I'm also in the dream myself.
Yeah, it's your consciousness, but someone else.
No, yeah. But I'm in the dream. I know I'm in there too. Like I'm the girl too.
Yeah.
It's weird. Now it's like you might be a real girl. Like, you know, it's a stupid transgender thing.
No, and I bring that up too, but the main thing I want to say is like, how many times do you have a dream where like you start with somebody and you're just like, yeah, dude, I had this dream. Yeah, dude, like I was at my house, but it looked hella different. But I knew it was my house.
Yeah. Dude, yeah.
You know? And that's a lot of dreams where it's just like in that whatever reality place that is your house. You know? And like I said, I've had dreams like that too where like I have a totally different girlfriend.
Yeah.
But like I know that's my girlfriend. Or like I have a mom and it's not my mom, but like in the dream, that's my mom.
I had in one of my dreams I had tattoos. And I was like really attached to a tattoo that was on my arm. And it was a tattoo of Pikachu in the dream. And I was like a totally different person, and I was on bunk beds. But it was like I was a kid, but I was also like a grown man, where I was kind of like, I'm telling everybody in the dream the life I had here. That I'm like, fuck, I just woke up from a crazy ass dream.
Yeah.
And I lived out a whole day in that dream. Woke up in this what we call real life. And I fucking almost had like amnesia.
Yeah.
I want to know if anybody else has fucking had that.
I feel like a lot of people have. I feel like what we're talking about is really common, just not explained or talked about that much, dude.
Yeah, and then when people say they have explanations for it, it's like you don't want to believe them because you're kind of like, nah, in a way to where it's like you don't want to believe it too much.
Yeah, bro.
And you're just kind of like, fuck. It almost kind of scares you more to be like, oh man, if someone does have an explanation, you don't feel as special, or you don't feel that they're like, excuse me, they're not really explaining what you felt right, but nobody can. That's the really fucked up part, is that nobody can explain the feeling you have. There may be the words for them, but nobody can relive that feeling that you had.
Yeah. But a lot of people can relate to it.
Yeah, people can relate, but I'm saying nobody can experience that.
Yeah.
That like it hurts. It's like, how are we all sharing the same consciousness and all this other crazy shit, but at the end of the day, I can't really give that person that experience. And I think, moral of the story, I think that's what religion is able to do.
Yeah.
That's making it go full circle. But I love talking about dreams, dude. If we do this shit again, I mean, these are going to be like 2-hour long things.
Holy shit. I'd be down.
I mean, honestly, I don't think that's the hour mark, because we started this at like 10 or 10:30 or something like that. So we're like at an hour mark. But fuck, man. Even off this fucking podcast, like we can go on for fucking ages and ages. Because dreams in themselves can't even be recreated in an acid trip, bro. Like, or
it's crazy,
people.
Man.
You said you tried like fucking, and what's those other psychedelic, like ayahuasca, the DMTs, and all that.
Yeah, dude.
They can't even do that. It can't even do what a dream can do.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
That's
and
nuts.
I've had some of just the craziest, scariest things in my dreams, and some of them really stick with you. But at the same token, I feel like lately I've had the hardest time remembering my dreams, but almost like I feel that's like a good thing or almost like a way of protecting myself because a lot of dreams I've had have been scary as fuck.
Yeah, I believe you.
You know, so I'm kind of happy. You know, dude, okay, like I want to tell you like one other dream. Just another dream that like
Yeah.
gave me some feelings. You know what I mean? So like this is a perfect example of a dream I've had and why my dreams scare me. I once had this dream that and I also wanted to say this, that I almost feel like in addition to how I said like another consciousness, another life, and you were talking about it going into the whole transgender thing, like what if a dream is just a peek into an alternate reality? And how people say that the multiverse, there's in an infinite number of universes and possibilities. And what if that, through some weird magic, is a way to peer into another reality? To where, like, let's say your consciousness in that dream you had, you were born in a different country and you were female. You know what I mean? But, like, it was still your consciousness. And that's what I mean. That's a weird thing. And when you think about all these people being born now that are saying, like, I'm not a man, like, and she's a woman, or me being like, no, I'm a woman in a man's body. You don't understand. I know it. And like, maybe it's almost a thing of, like, they are remembering. You know what I mean? And they were living for such a long ways that way, and they're reborn female, and then they're not. And perhaps you and I were male before, and born male again, so it's not odd for us. But for some people, it's very odd. But the dream I'd like to say, when I said that about just like alternate universes and things like that, is I had a dream once where I believed I was myself, and I'm on a battlefield that looked very, very sandy, and it was deserty all around. And I was talking to someone else who was dressed up in a military uniform in front of me with a gun. And behind him is a stake in the ground with a guy tied to it who looked to be of a different race, like darker skin, Middle Eastern, something like that.
Yeah.
That was tortured and looked horrible. And I saw all this blood on him and cuts on him and like hooks and this crazy shit coming out of him. And I remember in the dream, this guy basically telling me, like, oh yeah, he didn't want to tell us anything at first, but we had to torture him and take out his eyes and do all this crazy shit, and he eventually gave us the information we needed. And in the dream, like, I knew I was on the side of the guy telling me this stuff, but I was looking at it and almost in a moment of disbelief of being like, fuck, why the hell am I involved with this? This is some really fucked up shit. Like, what did I do? And in the dream, I just felt mad, and I woke up after that. But it's just almost like, what if in an alternate life or alternate reality I joined the military and then that shit happened? Or what if in this multiverse there was a war?
You were still yourself. You were still yourself, right?
I feel like I was. Or what if it was a past life of mine where I was in some war and then I saw some fucked up shit? Like, what I just mean is, like, it almost felt like I was there and I was deeply involved. And if, like, I was back in that dream now, I understood the conflict. And I understood why we were torturing that guy. And, like, I got it all. But, like, waking up and being out of that dream, I was like, holy fuck that. I don't want to dream about fucking torturing someone again. Like, that shit fucking haunted me for fucking weeks, dude. I thought it was so bad. And I'm like, why the fuck did my mind come up with that? But then it's just almost like that shit was so powerful and scary
that
it had to come from somewhere else, type shit.
Yeah, you can argue that now. You can argue that, and it's like your mind really conjuring that up. Like, it's people want to say like you conjure up these like random thoughts, and it's like,
and some people would say like, oh, you probably played a violent video game or watched a fucked up movie,
and there's those correlations, yeah.
And there might be some kind of correlation there, but there are certain dreams that I've had where it just, like, not a lot of dreams stick with me like that.
Yeah, it was so engaging.
Even now, thinking about that dream, it's like I can see the look of this tortured man, like,
it throws,
like, right there.
It gives you PTSD of a thing that...
And maybe in a past life, that was me. Yeah. Or maybe in a different universe where there's World War III and everybody got drafted, that's me, you know? Fuck. But it just, I had such feelings waking up from that dream. Yeah. You know what I mean? And myself in this world, I'd never want to join the military. I wouldn't want to fight or do anything like that, but I understand in certain circumstances, I might have been that kind of person or be that kind of person. And it really makes me think, and like dreams like that, like it made me feel like there's like this crazy, almost dark part of me type shit. You know what I mean? Or something in my head like that.
No, I want to believe the latter, where there's that sense of those alternate realities. I want to believe that.
You want to believe it's an alternate reality and not the past.
Well, I want to believe it's both.
What
like,
about it being a premonition?
No,
because there's been a lot of dreams where I've had where I feel like I dreamed about something, not any important thing, like a little mundane thing.
I'm saying it could be it can be a culmination of all three. It can be a premonition. It can be the past. It can be an alternate reality version of you, all packed into a package. It's all three. It doesn't necessarily have to be. You ever seen the show Sliders?
No.
Okay, it was a show on Sci-Fi to where basically they would travel to different dimensions. They would be in the same spot, but in certain dimensions, time moved faster, or time moved slower, or there was those infinite possibilities. So that's why I'm saying it's a package deal, which you were experiencing with the whole. Whether it's a premonition, what if it's a premonition? On top of being the alternate reality, on top of being the past, on top of being the future.
Because history repeats itself.
Yeah,
and anything is possible.
Yeah, not just that. Like, history repeats itself is not only just that. It is the fact that time in itself is still the concept of where we think it's linear. But what if it's a constant? It's just a constant. That's all it is. You know what I mean? You get what I mean? It's the fact that it remains a constant.
Yeah.
Like, when you get the clock taken away from you, you don't know what time it is. I mean, you could say if you were locked in a room, no sunlight, nothing to signify time changed. Only you, I guess, aging, can decipher that. But even then, that's day by day. You don't notice until someone puts you in front of a mirror. But I'm saying like a room, just white walls, you're in a square, nothing. And that's where the whole concept of time just gets thrown out. Yeah. So I guess you would age still, but I mean, that's where I think in itself you realize that time is constant. You sitting there in that moment and like really that's what allows us with dreams. Like, how dreams, you can say you lived out a day, but you ever have times where you took an hour nap, but it felt like the longest dream? It's shit like that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I believe all three of those. Maybe not as truth, but as very plausible. Yeah, possibilities and very plausible. And nobody can disprove it, and nobody can prove it.
Nobody can. And I think a lot of people would talk about having a strange prophetic dream like that, or a lot of people would talk about having a dream that they could not, shake or affected them in some way, and just on the whole of everything being cyclical and things like that, I
right? Sun's got to come up, moon's got to go up.
Yeah, it's just gonna like.
And to us, that's what it looks like. But it's just going around and around and around. But to us, it just looks like up, down, up, down.
Yeah,
we're seeing this perspective. That's why there's people's like, the Earth is fucking flat. I can't even argue with those people. Would be like, well, I haven't gone up there, so I can't. You got me there.
On the subject of that.
Yeah.
On the subject of fucking flat Earth, man, we have gotten some weird ass topics. This fucking shit. But man, on the subject of flat Earth, I don't think the Earth is flat. But I do have to fucking say, Antarctica is some sketchy shit. Does not make any sense to me why you're not allowed to go there. Does not make any sense to me why no one's tried to take the resources there. And it does not make sense to me why no countries have fought over it or even argued that fact. I am of the opinion.
Shit.
I am of the opinion strongly that for whatever reason that if there was nothing weird about Antarctica, people would be fighting over it just for like the oil and natural resources there. It is so fucking weird that nothing happens there. That you're not allowed to go there. That there's not pictures of it. That you can't fly over it.
Nobody's flown over it? Are you fucking kidding me? Nobody's flown over it.
You can find aerial photography, but it's not like you can find a 2-hour video of someone flying over the whole thing. No.
Shit.
And it's odd. So what I'm saying is, no, I don't think the Earth is flat, but are we being lied to about the nature of our world? Probably. Is there some things that are being hidden from us? I think so. I really think so. And on the subject of that, in Antarctica, did you know they found in an underground volcano hot spring, so basically under the ice, there's this section of water that's superheated that's been there for years and years and years. And when they drilled into that and tested it, they found creatures that were living underneath there without oxygen. And everything on Earth requires oxygen. And this is like the only thing that was living without it. So what I'm saying is, just once again, there's some weird shit going on in Antarctica. And it sketches me out. So flat earthers, like, I don't believe the Earth is flat. But like when I saw all that shit and started reading about Antarctica, I'm just like, no, they're hiding something, dude.
Hey, what about the North Pole, man? It's gotta be Santa Claus.
You can go to the North Pole. There's nothing.
But you can't go below
there.
us. You can't go to
Antarctica's a totally different thing, dude.
That's the one below everything, right?
If you want to take a trip to Antarctica, you can go there. You can take a little picture at the South Pole and go to a visitor center. You cannot stay there. You cannot hike through it. You cannot drive across it. You cannot go to any other port there. So they'll let you see this one little piece of it. And bearing in mind, you have to spend like a retarded amount of money to even do that. And you're going to be watched the whole time while you're there.
You know, that's what
you're
gets
not going to be able to see.
You know,
anything.
that's what gets me too. And you know how like everybody wants to go to Mars. I'm like, we can't even go to every place that's here on Earth.
Yeah,
you got me fucked.
Same token,
you got me fucked up going to Mars. I would never go to Mars.
Yeah, no. At the same token, dude, like we haven't explored the ocean floor.
Yeah.
Marianas Trench is the deepest place on Earth, and we've only gone like 50% of the way down it.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that we're honestly like not even sure about.
Yeah, and we want to go explore some other planet that we found a little bit of water on it. Like you know my theory on Mars is
What?
Might be a little out of left field, but my theory on Mars was that we fucked up that planet, and then we made our way over here.
A lot of people say that about fucking Venus, dude.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that about Venus because Venus is like destroyed, and basically, it looks like their environment could have at one point supported life.
Yeah.
But it kind of imploded and became super toxic and nauseous. And we can't take pictures of the surface because of all the gas and haze and smog. And like the Russians put one satellite down there, a rover on Venus, and it was only alive for 2 minutes because it basically fucking melted. But it's a very interesting thought. You know what I mean? And maybe Mars in the same token too, that perhaps like, dude, so let's say this, dude, like I said, there's no connection between man and apes, right? Now we have rockets and we have technology to send stuff into space. And once something is in space, if you get a shuttle going in space, it's escape gravity going 300 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It will maintain that speed forever. 300 miles an hour. So, what if, all right, some other planet that had life similar to humans was like literally like, hey, you know what? We need to colonize the galaxy. And then they make something that holds like sperm and eggs and DNA for humans along with food and something like that.
Yeah.
In their life form. And they just shot it at every single star they saw, hoping for it to hit somewhere. And then it hits somewhere. And I mean, it takes millions of years, but slowly that DNA becomes a living thing and evolves and grows and becomes a thing.
So we create another Big Bang.
That's kind of like the argument that like we are our own gods. But what I'm saying is when you get to the subject of like, what if we fucked up that planet or whatever like that? I'm like, yeah. And what if the planet that shot that got into a nuclear war and they destroyed themselves, and then it takes millions of fucking years for that thing to travel. So the people that sent that to our planet to create us died out millions of years ago.
That's some Prometheus shit.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thought because we don't really have a better explanation right now.
But back on that. The concept of, how these stories are told? You know how you go back on that whole reincarnation thing of like, we've already kind of told these stories and these rehashes and everything's a remix? What if these are parts of our past in our history? Like superheroes, mutants, the aliens, xenomorphs, this and that. We're conceptualizing these things in our head. Like, they have to come from somewhere, right?
They do, and there's a whole group of people that like argue, like the whole ancient aliens crowds that basically like, so some aliens decided to come here, and gold is why gold is so important in like modern world is it's an incredible contact, and it's very resistant to corrosion. So like all the little pieces of shit in this phone are made with gold, little bits of gold, but it's made with gold. So we know gold is important to technology as far as like computers and microchips and things like that. So they basically say, what if something was evolving on Earth, similar to, like I said, monkeys, primates, Homo erectus, something like that, almost man but not man. And aliens showed up. And then they said, oh, hey, we can make these things work for us and tell them to get us gold, which they don't even care about at this point or want. Yeah. And in exchange, we'll tell them how to do things and give them technology. And then that happened. And then we started going for gold and doing everything like that. And then eventually maybe they got all they wanted and then they left. And then we had all this knowledge that some of us are like, say primate ancestors had, and then others didn't. And then this group of people that learned about farming and learned about medicine and all this crazy shit thrived and took off, but still really cared about gold for whatever reason. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's like a whole theory of how we came to be. And I'm just making another argument about that too, because we don't really know. But it's an interesting thought, and it's curious as to why ancient cultures always did love gold.
All right.
How did that ever become a thing, dude? Why is money even a thing?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna ask you. Now, this is gonna be the final thing, because I think we're.
Holy shit! Yeah, dude. I gotta take a shit, man.
You've been holding it in?
I have, dude.
But I'm going to ask you.
This conversation's been great.
Yeah, this is some good shit. We'll talk about more when you're out. What I was going to ask, God damn it, just fucking, my brain is like scrambled right now. It's weird. What I'm going to ask is, what if we did have the answer? Would it be a bad thing or a good thing? Like, we had the definitive answer from like the day one of what happened to this point in time. Like, how would you think? Would be more complacent?
Good luck trying to convince anybody that is the answer.
No. But I'm saying if we did, if it was like the definitive answer.
I honestly think it's something really anticlimactic like that.
That you think if it's...
I honestly think it's something just like, oh no, you see some ancient civilizations sent out their DNA everywhere trying to make other planets, and then they died years and years ago, or some aliens showed up and saw some monkeys, and they're just like, hey, we'll show you some cool shit if you get us gold. Yeah. And that's how we became, and then they evolved us through their technology and made like slaves out of us, and then we got them gold, and then they just dipped. So that's what I mean. So like at the end of the day, they're just like, what is our higher purpose? I want to know the meaning of life. And they're just like, oh, the meaning of life basically is you get us some gold. Like, that's it. And we're just like, but that's so meaningless and mediocre. And we're just like, well, yeah, that's all we wanted from you assholes when we made you and gave you knowledge. We wanted you to get us gold. Yeah.
Okay, that's like saying, okay, if a cow gained consciousness, like on how we do it.
Yeah,
and then it finds out, all we need is that cow for us. Oh, we need your milk and we need your meat.
Yeah, and cows are like, what the fuck is this? These weird things that walk on two legs, take care of me and give me food, and then they put this tag on my ear, and then every 4 months they take a bunch of us away, and then new cows show up that are younger? What the fuck is this shit about, dude? Where are we going? What is this life about? And then the cow just finds out, it's like, oh no, we were just raising you to eat you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think if we ever were to find out who our actual God was or why we were actually made, it would be very, very anticlimactic.
I think, you know what I think would happen if that was the thing, if we actually knew the answer.
Yeah.
I feel like the world would become more complacent than it already kind of is like complacent, like, and it'd be a thing where it's like, well, I know how we here now. I mean, there's no sense of like wonderment. I mean, you lose that sense of curiosity, and
We would,
and
but
without
that goes back to
curiosity,
the whole thing I told you about. If we had all the answers, wouldn't we want to get away from that and pretend we didn't for a little while? Wouldn't you want to play a game just to try to find the answers again?
All right, we're gonna end it right there. Holy shit, we're going in so many fucking circles because that is fucking genius. That is straight. Some, I want to say this is the definition of insanity, what we're talking about. This is why people go fucking nuts.
No, I think we're asking some really good questions.
No, we're
here.
asking some really good questions, but I mean, it always throws us back full circle.
It does. It does. Things are cyclical, dude. The synchronicities.
Yeah. But fuck, I'm going to have to end it there, but I really want to appreciate this. This should be like a 4-part series, but I never stopped it because this shit was too interesting with all these rabbit holes, from dreams to politicians to fucking theories to magic, which I don't even think we delved in, but
we really didn't.
Well, I mean, we did. I mean, we
did. We talked about basic principles, but I could talk a lot more about that, dude.
Yeah,
maybe
we
an episode for another time.
Yeah,
dude.
but this has been fucking awesome. I mean, I was expecting this, but even though I was expecting this type of conversation to be living it or simulating it or whatever the fuck we're doing right now, I gotta question it, or hell, I don't got. Goddamn, burping up. I don't really gotta question it. That's the fucking beauty of being a human. You don't have to question it.
I'd just like to restate that.
But you want
nothing
to.
is true and everything is permitted. And if it works for you, keep on fucking doing it. Like that, do your thing.
Yeah, I guess do your thing, but also just don't bother other people. Just, if you're gonna do your own thing, do your own thing.
Do your thing, just as long as your thing is not being a douchebag and pissing other people off.
Yeah, that's all I ask. I mean, I'm not gonna go into your house and be like, "What are you doing?"
Commandment number 1: don't be a dick. Right. Commandment number 2: you can do whatever you want. Just follow commandment number 1.
Yeah, there's the 2. There's the 2 for you. But fuck, I appreciate everything in this moment right now.
This was great. This is great. I gotta take a shit though, dude.
Melting my brain right now. You can walk off. I can end this intro right now. I can end it all right now.
It's been trill, everyone.
Yeah. Oh man, you gotta go inside. I'm actually gonna come inside with you. Fuck, man. I feel so like desolate out here.
Where are my keys?
I don't know, man. But I want to thank everybody for listening. If you made it this far, you know what to do. Look in the link description below. Follow me on Instagram at mark.wahlborg. And then on Twitter, you can follow me at NorTownEgo. And yeah, I have pretty much same face, little goatee, split with the little Spanish patch, the patch that doesn't exist in the middle. And yeah, I just want to thank Louie for, having me over. This was fucking some mind-blowing conversation.
Whatever.
And
Dude, I'm gonna be back, dude.
take it to shit. Did you unlock the metal gate? But yeah, for the next episode, we'll see where this all takes us. So, love you, folks. You guys have a great night, and try not to think too hard and have cool dreams.